Hello, everybody. Welcome to Over a Couple of Drinks presents The Regulars. Wait, I can't be that excited. We used a downer of an intro. Shit. Over a Couple of Drinks, The Regulars. As always, I am your host, Bill. And with me, my Cogsworth to my Lumiere.
I'll take it.
My LeFou to my guest. Who are we in this movie?
I don't know if we have a pairing in this movie.
No.
We might be like Maurice
and the horse.
And the horse.
And the
yeah,
horse?
I'm cool with that.
Okay. I was gonna say just throw it out the window. I'm the Beast and you're Prince Eric. Fuck it, we'll go Disney. Yeah.
I'll take that.
Chris Birch. How you doing, buddy?
We're good.
Good.
Very good.
Good. And our special guest tonight is your brother, Kyle.
Hey guys.
Yeah, you gotta turn it down, man. You're too loud.
Sorry, I know.
Too fucking loud.
I'm too excited.
I'm too excited. And tonight we're talking about Beauty and the Beast, the 2017 remake starring Emma Watson.
Emma Watson and Dan Stevens.
Who's
and
Dan
Luke
Stevens?
Evans.
Luke Evans.
And Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor and Gandalf and Obi-Wan
Gandalf.
Kenobi and
the author of the Mary Poppins books.
yes, and Nick
And
Bottom.
who's Kevin? Yeah, Nick Bottom.
Nick
Kevin
Bottom
Kline
and,
played recently.
and
the Snowman.
And the Snowman.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Yep. So, per usual, we're going to try to keep it real short tonight, only because we had a shit show setting everything up. But we're going to do our real quick spoiler-free review for the people who will turn it on, listen to our stupid voices and say we don't like it, and they hear our review and go, should we go see this movie? Which is the three people who watch this. So, Kyle, as our special guest, spoiler-free short snippet that gives your approval or disapproval. What do you think of Beauty and the Beast 2017?
I thought that it was really good. I think that it's not the original movie, and that's why I like it. It's its own thing, not like a complete remake.
Okay. Birch?
I genuinely enjoyed this movie. I recognize its flaws, and I truly hope that Disney learns from these flaws as they can, if they're gonna continue, which they seem to be, in this thing of remaking every Disney movie made before the year 2000. I want them to get. The only way I'm gonna care is if they keep getting better.
Yes. I am going to use my metaphor that Birch liked so much when we were trying to set everything up, is that this movie is a pencil without lead. It has no point. It is so eerily close to the original that you can just save yourself the $11 and watch the original. In my personal opinion, it's not bad. Make no mistake of that. I'm not. If somebody says I really like it, I'm not going to tear them to shreds like I normally do on this podcast. That's why we have Kyle on. But it just, to me, like, if I guess there's like I need to go around asking my friends who love this movie, the original, so much, what they thought of it too, to kind of get a feel for it. Overall, just to me, it was like anything was added to it hindered its own process, and it felt like it was uninspired. So, with that, that's our spoiler-free one. Good night, everybody.
All right, that's it.
Yep.
Deuces.
For everyone who stays.
Okay, for anybody who stays, yeah, let's get into it. What do you guys want to talk about? Before I go into like a weird tangent that just doesn't stop, because like this whole week for me has been like unspiraling this movie like a yarn thread. Okay.
Before we descend into the rabbit hole.
Yeah, before we get into the madness, let's talk about stuff you guys want to talk about first.
Let's talk about first the stuff that was different.
Okay.
So like, what they kind of tried to do in this movie was they wanted to give a bit more backstory to a lot of the characters. Some of that I had no problem with, like Gaston being a war hero.
That was the start of the unraveling for me, by the way.
Yep, I figured it would be.
Fuck you, Chris.
Which I did like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I did like that they gave him something.
Mm-hmm. And I think that one of the things that people said about the original which I'm pretty sure they literally went on like a BuzzFeed article, and they one of those like all the things wrong with 1991's Beauty and the Beast, and they went through and were like, all right, we're gonna tally off every single one of these and try to fix them.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like they did,
Mhm.
because like the opening, she cursed an 11-year-old boy. That sounds
Yeah, that's
terrible. And this, which again, I can't really talk about anything in this movie without going down the rabbit hole, because it just. This was my week. This is why I called you every day after work, Chris. Because I needed someone to talk to because I was going insane.
now we're unraveling.
No,
now we're
not
in that.
unraveling.
We're
I'm holding it together.
Well, I was also kind of going off of that same thing with the opening scene. I was interested that eventually they explained a reason why the servants were cursed as well. It's a little far-fetched,
It's a
but
bit.
the idea that the servants were responsible for not stopping the prince's father from turning him into an asshole, basically.
You didn't tell the royal guy to stop
Be a
doing
dick.
what he wanted to do. Fuck
Yeah,
you.
I'm like,
Now
they're
you're
just
a
trying
pot.
to make some money. Now you're a teapot. And
Now
so
you're a teapot. Eat shit. By the way, your kid.
No,
who
that's
is-
the toilet job.
your kid who is probably here not to work but just to watch the cool party is a goddamn cup. Fuck you.
he's
Yeah,
a
see,
cracked cop.
Now, does she have all the other kid like teacups, or like, and were they there too, or is it just Chip? Like, I,
You know,
I still never got
I
that.
didn't see any of her other children. I think they were like, that's a little strange that she only loves one child.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
should probably just forget about those other ones in the cupboard who don't
So,
have
yeah,
faces.
let's just forget about that like dozen other kids
Yeah, let's
that
just focus
she
on
just
the one.
no faces.
Well, it's.
But I loved, actually, this was my favorite joke in the entire movie. The thing about the hairbrush I thought was hilarious because
Oh, yeah.
it shows that not everything in the castle is alive, and B, Ian McKellen's delivery was gold.
Oh
on
god,
that.
yeah.
It was about
Oh.
the only thing that they really used him good for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
just-
I think that they underused Ian McKellen. When you have
Which-
Ian McKellen, use Ian McKellen.
That's. This isn't part of the unraveling, but it was one of my major complaints. They needed to smack Obi-Wan Kenobi with the worst French accent of all time,
Oh god.
and no, I don't know how to put this. It just like
You
I feel like so much of this movie was miscast. I don't know if this is a good time to talk about it or not, but we can go back
yeah,
to it.
I mean, yeah, we'll jump into cast in just a minute.
Yeah, in a minute we'll
But-
talk about it, because that was kind of one of my major gripes, is that it felt like some actors were totally underutilized, like Ian McKellen. And
Yeah.
Kevin Kline. What? There was a cough. I'm sorry. I gotta drink some beer.
Although they did try to give Maurice more to do, it just was
Pointless.
weird.
And dumb.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, going into that, I was gonna say kind of for me, like some of the things, the things that I liked that were different were smaller. I wasn't huge on some of the bigger things that were different, like the mom plague thing. I thought it was interesting.
Okay.
Interesting
I thought-
justification of why.
Hold on to it.
But-
Hold on to it, Bert. Hold on
Okay.
to those thoughts.
Holding on.
No.
Wait, which?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We'll talk about the
Okay.
plague thing later. That goes into the insanity.
okay. But no, like that I thought was a little too much. A magic book that transports you literally anywhere you want.
He's
Little too
literally
much.
not a prisoner. He's
Yeah,
literally
he
not.
can
a
go
prisoner.
wherever he
has
wants.
a book
Well,
that can take him anywhere.
Originally, I thought it was like just an illusion of him going somewhere, but when they brought
Yeah, me
something
too.
back, and I was like,
Yep. But I like the little things like I did appreciate how they explained, like why the people in the village forget that they have a monarch, and like
Yeah, I like
why the Prince
Insanity.
H thing, and
Insanity.
and right, just little things like that. I did appreciate because they took the usual things that people pick at for plot holes, and then they kind of fix them, kind of enough that you can. It's like it
Enough
was like
to
with,
shut people up.
Yeah.
basically.
Right, it was like not. I will say, comparing it to Days of Future Past, I think Days of Future Past, I thought of it similar in that like they retconned a lot of things and fixed things in X-Men, but they did it a lot better and in a way that was like, oh wow, this was a big thank you, like present.
yeah.
Thanks for fixing all that in a non-weird way. But I felt kind of similar.
I will say this: I enjoyed the extra scenes with LeFou to a point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Gaston were very fun. Okay.
They were my favorite part of the movie,
It,
I think.
it wasn't until Act 3, Kill the Beast, where things fell apart for me with them. There's a lot of weird pacing things with Gaston and LeFou. I'll go into later, where just with how no, we'll talk about it now. Fuck it.
Let's tie him to a tree and leave him to the wolves.
Like okay, one before we jump into this because this will be a huge tangent. I didn't think any of the extra songs were bad, but they are just like I Can't Wait to Be Human Again in the re-release of the original
Oh, yeah.
one. They aren't necessary.
Yeah.
None
No.
of them are necessary. I feel like the song Evermore would have worked better in a different place because all it did was stop the movie to a halt. It was a
Yes.
full break.
Well, and you know the thing about that scene, it's reaching the climax of the movie. We want to keep moving.
We
Like,
wanna
you
keep-
want to
yeah.
keep accelerating.
And the thing is also, like, in the original, I have every right to do this every time I say this because it's the fucking remake. Same thing what I said with Ghostbusters, is that the original does it so much better because you remember what he does when Belle leaves? And he goes, I let her go. And they're like, why would you do that? And he's left alone. Do you guys remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He just roars. This
Right.
painful,
Yeah.
guttural animal cry. And it's so
See-
good. It's
Right.
so amazing.
Right. Whereas now
There's a
that song almost now the song almost makes it sound too. He's like, I'll be okay. Like she'll always be with me. Like,
No.
he's almost like, no, I'm cool with it. Like,
Well, because on top of that, the next time we see the Beast, I believe in the animated one, is when Gaston. Speaking of the Beast, Jonesy woke up.
What up, Jonesy?
It's when Gaston breaks into his room and you just see him defeated, utterly broken, and you're just like, okay, that's all I needed to know.
Yep.
That the Beast is broken. Fine. But in this one, we have this. I will say, it's a very beautiful song. I like the song a lot. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's like why we're ending with it, sung by Kyle.
Yo.
It just would have worked better in a location with, like Belle spying on him. Sometime,
Yeah.
like when they're supposed to be developing a love story, and he's not
Yeah.
into it yet, and he's just like, I used to do this, and now
Right.
the petals are falling, and I'm fucked.
which it's almost like there was another version of Beauty and the Beast where they had a well-placed song for the Beast that had him do that right around when he
Oh, you
started
mean
to
you
fall
mean
from metal.
you mean If I Can't Love Her from the classic wonderful musical?
Oh,
Beauty and the
yeah,
Beast?
yeah, that one.
The Broadway musical.
Yeah.
They already
that
had,
one was good.
and then these fuckers,
These
they
fuckers.
put the instrumental of
Yep.
Belle's main song from the musical Home as
Yep.
as underscoring for a scene, and I was like, fuckers, are you teasing
Well,
us that you
also-
didn't just put this good song in this movie?
Yeah.
Also,
Like-
that main like doon 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 doon. That's also how If I Can't Love Her starts. Like that
Well-
theme is used throughout the movie, but it's still a bit of a tease to me.
Yeah. So, so jumping into the problem with new LeFou and new Gaston is we were talking briefly about this while you were grabbing the new device that Kyle's talking on now. Chris and I were talking about how in the beginning of the movie, in the animated, Belle has this great song. Everyone kind of sees her as weird, but not really like outcasty or negative towards her. She's just the weird one that we don't talk to. And in this one, you get the vibe that also that opening. Talk about going through the paces. Holy shit, that opening musical scene was like a fight scene from Iron Fist. Holy fuck, you could see the choreography slow down.
They lowered the key like a lot, considerably.
On top of
Like-
that, did you notice how they does this weird thing every now and then? This isn't just this one scene. This is the whole movie. Where it does we're doing normal stuff. Oh, it looks like we're in a musical now. We need to do something musically. And you
Yeah.
notice it really bad with the kids going to school. They're walking normal and all
Oh,
of a
yeah,
sudden,
yeah,
stomp,
yeah.
stomp, stomp. I'm like,
Stop, look, turn. Yeah.
oh God.
Oh, it's a musical.
Oh,
And-
just go to school.
which bothered me the most in possibly my two favorite songs of all time in Beauty and the Beast, Be Our Guest, which is kind of something you need to do, and the fact that it was CGI and they still fucked up really pissed me off, and Gaston. That scene in the cartoon is amazing, and it's a live bar where everybody's having a good time, and in this one, it was going through the motions. And
Yeah,
it was
see,
kind of painful.
I will say one of the only reasons that I liked some of like the choreography bit in the middle of Gaston is because they do that in the musical. So a lot of the things that like they did differently from the cartoon, I like them because they did them in the musical. So like I'm biased.
I think Gaston was actually my favorite number in the movie because it was just letting itself be fun and
it just
you know.
my problem with it is like there's parts
Mhm.
in Gaston where the whole bar is singing, and instead it's just LeFou. And there's parts where I really liked the change up with him feeding the lines to the bar on what to sing. That was that was cute, clever, great. But then you also had another major hindrance, which is the three whores, which I don't know what their actual names are. They were a blank
They never
slate.
had names.
They were,
Yeah, they're literally
They've
just the
never-
silly girls.
They've never had names.
blank slates, and it shows really bad in that scene because they're
Yeah.
like, I don't, no man is pretty, he's a pure paragon or whatever. Fucking dead faced, looked like it was from a horror movie. They were gonna murder somebody, and I was like, why? Like, there was just so many moments where I just wanted to punch everybody. I'm like, you're in a musical. You're in a Disney musical. You are living the dream.
Yeah.
Well,
And you are
and again,
Fucking shit up.
jumping back to the opening number, and I caught this when I listened to the soundtrack before I saw the movie. It was like, oh, they all sound like they're about to fall asleep.
Right?
Oh yeah.
There's no energy.
Yeah.
There's no energy.
Like,
And-
okay, there she goes. The girl is so big.
Plus,
Like-
they cut Marie the baguettes, and that pissed me off.
Marie, the
But
baguettes.
moving on. Marie the baguettes.
They hired-
I'm like,
I'm
too
convinced-
sexist.
I'm convinced they hired Kelsey. Was that Kelsey Grammer as the school teacher? I am not convinced that was not him.
back on topic real quick. The problem with Gaston in the beginning.
Kelsey Grammer's always on topic.
You have me there. You have me there, sir. Luke Evans does an amazing job. I will say this. He is the only man who can do Gaston better than Bruce Campbell, who was supposed to do it in my brain in 1994 when I wanted a live action Beauty and the Beast. But Luke Evans does a really great job. The problem is that he plays it in the beginning way too sympathetic and nice. In the cartoon, again, how can you read this thing? There's no pictures.
Right?
Yeah, in the cartoon, they immediately were like, "This is the bad guy."
You know he's a D-bag from the beginning. In this one, like Chris and I were talking, Kyle, was, he goes, I see you're reading a book. And she's like, oh, have you read it? Oh, not that one. Maybe we can discuss it over dinner. Hell, I'd give
Right,
that
I'm
guy,
like-
that guy could have a chance.
Exactly. Like,
And what
you
does
know,
she do? No. Do you have plans?
like,
No, and walks away
Yeah.
like a D-bag. Instantly.
And I think what they did with that, I think they were like, well, everyone knows Gaston is just a douchebag.
Yes.
Everyone knows that. Everyone's seen this movie for the past 26 years. So we're just
No.
gonna let. We're not gonna we're gonna let. And then I'm like, well,
Well,
but
that's
you cannot assume.
You can't do
You cannot
that.
assume that your
That is-
audience has seen the source
No,
that
material.
you
is
can't.
problem number one with any remake is
Or-
they assume
or
that
prequel.
everyone has seen it, or prequel.
Or prequel.
Is
If-
they just assume that everyone has seen the original,
Look-
and so they feel no need to like recreate those characters in distinct things
Look-
like his personality.
Look up Red Letter Media's Harry Plinkett's Rogue One review. It's like only 7 minutes compared to the 2-hour ones that he normally does. But he talks about how that movie doesn't set up anything, and it just expects you to know this is Darth Vader, this is the Force, and like then there's a reaction one where people tear them apart because they're Star Wars fanboys, and I'm a Star Wars fanboy, but I know that movie's heavily flawed. And he goes, really? They're like the originals didn't have to reset anything up, and then he goes through and supercuts everything, every plot line from the original movie, retold in both Empire and Return of the Jedi, and you're just like, there you go, there you go, there you go.
There you go.
So on top of that, we have, if you've never seen this movie before, because I can do that, I step myself out and go, okay, watching this movie for a fresh time. Gaston's a good guy. Belle's a dick. On top of that, Belle is an even bigger dick from the opening number, because what does she do? She's walking around and she insults the baker to his face. She jumps over a pond on these moldy ass, grimy ass rocks that she could have fallen and broken her neck in. It would probably been better. And then what is the next scene we see her in? Walking where everybody is folding their clean clothes. What a bitch.
Well, and that's if there's
Well,
one
and
thing-
telling them like, oh, there's a way better way to do that. And I'm like, just let them be them,
and
Belle.
then on top of that, you remember she's reading her book, and in the original she's reading to sheep, and it's kind of like she's this carefree, heart-loving person, and it kind of shows like, oh yeah.
And it's also kind of sad because she has no one else to read to.
Yes.
She has sheep because she's very lonely.
In this one, she's
She
in the
has
middle of a marketplace saying, and you won't discover that. Fucking spoilers, bitch. Goddamn spoilers. You don't know that's the prince till chapter 3. And she's telling that to everybody.
Now, and you know what that sheep does? It
Eats it.
that page because it doesn't care.
So, going
Because it's
back,
a sheep.
this is the other problem. The next scene with Gaston, Belle gets yelled at by the headmaster, which is a really weird scene. Which leads to
Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer, which leads to like everyone dumping out their clothes and she's folding stuff up and she gets these dirty looks, which adds to my insanity, which we'll go down to later, but I have to go there because I'm a history buff. And she's like, okay. And the next scene, what does Gaston do? Tries to help her. Hey, I heard the headmaster was giving you a hard time. He never liked me. I can give you tips. It will be great. And yeah, he steps on a cabbage. Woo fucking who. But then she says, well, she says something along like, well, maybe you shouldn't worry about their kids. Maybe you should worry about your own kids. And she's like, and this is, 21st century thinking. Well, I'm a young woman who have everything in front of me. I don't possibly think about kids, which is fine. But we're talking again problem of 18th century, possibly early 19th century.
And then he brings that up.
He brings that up. Like, what about me? I am engaging to talk to you. And she doesn't even give him the courtesy of like, Gaston, you're really nice. And I know everybody loves you, but you're just not my type. And I'm very sorry, but maybe we can be friends. Instead, she just goes, I will never marry you, you stupid asshole.
Well, and
then you know what he says?
He even
He's
gives
like,
her. Yeah,
if you don't, do you know what happens to women after? Because your father is
right.
an
He's
old
giving
crazy
her
man.
advice.
He's going to die soon. And then what happens? You're on the street.
He's helpful.
Well-
He's being helpful. And then on top of that, Gaston happens. It's a great musical number. He's cheered up. He's happy. And like in the movie, he's a dickbag, so it's kind of a villain song. And you're just like, yeah, revel in the villainy. In this one, it's like, no, this guy's kind of nice.
No, this one I want to hang out with these people.
I want to hang out with him.
Like,
and then what happens? Maurice shows up. The beast has her. He's in a castle in the forest. And there's no castle in the forest. It's snowing there in July. And he goes, I'll help you find him. And you're just like, fucking stand up citizen.
Yep,
right?
yeah.
Stand up.
And I was waiting for him to be like, okay, cool. He's gonna be like, here, let me show you to the door and like
And
shove him
throws
outside. He's like, no, let's go find
help
him. Like,
But then, halfway point. This is the halfway point where all of a sudden he has PTSD and he loves blood and widowers and killing people and raping people, and he decides to hit Maurice and tie him to a tree. What the fuck just happened?
this
Where'd this
character
guy come
deserves
from?
death.
It's 30 seconds of, I hit this guy, I can't talk my way out of it anymore, we'll tie him to a tree so wolves can disembowel him.
It's really funny. First of all, I don't know how he expects that to get Belle to marry him. Second of all, like going back quickly to with the idea of a quick shift with these characters who are suddenly, because they're like, you're teaching this girl to read, we're going to destroy your laundry thing. And they're like, I literally in the movie theater went, Jesus Christ. Like, because, and I know what they're doing. I know what they're doing. They're trying to justify that these same people will form an angry mob in 10 seconds later in this movie. But even it's just as charming.
And I was gonna say, you know what? That's why, because he's charming.
But that's the thing. Like in the animated one, he's a dickbag, but everybody loves him. And in Gaston, the song, is it called Gaston, or is it like everybody wants to be Gaston?
It's called Gaston.
It's
No,
because every time I say it, like Chris gives me this weird look, and I'm like, am I saying it wrong? Am I making a fool of myself? I don't know. Anyways. Everyone joins in.
No, you ain't acting
because they
a fool.
instantly follow, and you're just like, oh yeah, okay. And then so when they do turn into a bloodthirsty mob, it's Gaston leading it again, so it makes more sense. This adds a wrinkle of when Maurice shows back up at the bar, and they're like, did you try to kill him, Gaston? And everyone's kind of against him, and he's like, oh God, I cut my hand in the cookie jar. What am I going to do? I'll simply... It was totally not necessary, and it ruined a lot of things.
Yeah.
This is poor pacing, this is poor screenwriting, this is poor setup,
Yeah.
this is poor everything.
Well, also I miss crazy old Maurice.
Crazy!
Like,
That's a crazy old Maurice.
And there was something.
I miss
there was
Raven, crazy
something-
old Maurice.
Yeah. Well, and then like Gaston in this version, decides that because Maurice is accusing him of murder, which he did,
He did.
he is
By
going to
rules.
lock him up in the asylum
That doesn't make
purely
sense.
to protect himself. In the movie, it's very cleverly put that is the moment where Gaston shows that he can be more than just a womanizing douchebag, and that he actually has this potential to be
Evil.
a really evil person, because he's like, I'm going to lock him up in the asylum and blackmail Belle
Into marrying.
marriage
And,
because I want to.
and that
Like,
kind of
right.
takes away a lot of Gaston's power. Because Gaston doesn't have magical powers. He's not Ursula. He doesn't turn into a goddamn dragon at the last second, like Maleficent. He doesn't turn into a snake or a genie like Jafar. He's just a dude.
That's not fair. Jafar got 2.
Jafar got 2 because he's a sorceress and then turned into a genie. It's double dipping.
That's
He's fine.
true.
But like that's kind of like, which should we talk about it now? His ending was just
oh, the end of it, of Gaston.
the end of Gaston in the original, in the cartoon, is
It's great
That's-
because he causes his own death.
Yes, he. One thing I always love about so many of these villains is that hubris gets him in the end. You know,
Right.
so many times it's hubris. Ursula doesn't expect anything to hurt her, so Prince Eric just rams a goddamn boat into her, and it's awesome. All right,
Bam.
Well, and it's also a very easy way for Disney to clear the hero of being a murderer.
yeah,
Yes.
Like,
But even in the original, it's kind of it because he stabs him in the back, and the beast just flails up like you naturally
Right.
would, and
he's been stabbed.
and
No,
he goes like this and
he could have
falls.
got away completely scot
Free.
free, realizing, oh, this beast could kill me. Like, I should leave. But he was like, no, I gotta,
I'm gonna stab him.
I gotta get, I'm gonna get Belle. I'm gonna kill him.
He
And
climbs up
his
on the
own-
side of this tower
Yeah.
where he can
Yeah.
easily fall, and he
And-
does.
And he does.
Like-
and in this one, it's like he's set up, and then Deus Ex Machina
Way off in the distance.
and gets shot, and he shoots him twice. Which, by the way, he's incredibly fast at loading a musket without a bar to
Right.
ramrod. That's kind of bullshit. Number one, history buff. Don't mess with me. Shoots him twice in like a span of 15 seconds. Homeboy has like quick reload on if he has that perk going for Call of Duty.
And then he just doesn't pay attention that the thing's cracking underneath him.
Which is why is the castle cracking underneath him?
Like, that's freaking.
They-
That's like
they
that's
tried
like
to
a
establish
Bowser
that earlier.
death right there.
Why?
You know what they did? They tried to establish that earlier. They showed that when a petal falls, the castle like shakes a bit.
They did,
So-
yeah.
And because of that, he fell. Like,
But yeah, literally Gaston Bowsered himself in this movie.
It was so.
He was weakening it too much and wasn't paying attention.
I thought Belle was gonna push him off
I would
for a minute. Like she
Hey,
like
she's a strong and
grabbed his
powerful
arrows and was like snapping his arrows and like shoved him, and I think he fell off the tower. I was like, "Fuck!" And then like he like fell through the window.
Well, it's
But-
like there's a bunch of small things that like if you were changing things around, it would have been cool for him to like I'm gonna reload and shoot him again, and like have Belle get in the way of the shot. And he's like, "Move, Belle! I'm going to kill the beast and free you." And she's like, "No!" And then like he goes, "Move now!" And he steps and he slips and falls to his death. That would have been fine.
Yep.
That would have been more than fine with him bloodthirsty and happy instead of, oh, the ground fell from underneath me. I guess I'm
Yeah.
dying
So
now.
you're telling me when we get our inevitable Tarzan remake that Clayton the
He's gonna
tree's
hang
just gonna
himself.
break,
Yeah.
the tree's just gonna snap and he's gonna fall.
Yeah.
Like
So
I mean, yeah, really. It's you're not wrong. I mean, you have Tarzan has that, Hunchback of Notre Dame has that.
fucking,
Beauty and the Beast has that. They all,
Let's-
it's all their own going too far.
I'm gonna put it right now. If Tony Jay was in a Disney movie, you are not allowed to remake it anymore. He plays the insane asylum guy in the original Beauty and the Beast,
Beauty and the Beast.
and
Yes.
he's Frollo in Hunchback of Notre Dame. So you can't touch it. Tony Jay doesn't get
I
remade.
genuinely, and I am the biggest Hunchback fan around, but I do not want a Hunchback remake. I don't.
Nope. Nope.
I-
I would rather just watch recordings of the
The
San
only
Diego
way.
show and call it good.
The only way it could possibly work, the only person who could pull off a Frollo, and it would never happen because of the stroke. And I'm very sorry.
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry would be the only person who could. Him in his prime.
You know who else? Who is now dead?
Who?
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman would do it.
See, I thought of oh crap, what is his name?
What am I saying? Idris Elba could do it. He'd pull it off wonderfully.
Oh, he'd be
Crap.
good too. Yeah.
Who played Saruman? I feel awful that I can't think of his
Christopher
name.
Lee.
Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee. Yeah.
If they didn't have it be a sung one, which I feel like they wouldn't with that movie, he would also be a pretty good one.
If he was not dead.
Right, if he was not dead.
Yep.
Christopher Walken. That's it. With Don,
And he does
the
get to
gypsy
sing.
with the
Christopher
dark
Walken.
hair. I'll have her myself if I have to. Great.
Hellfire.
Hellfire.
Quasi.
Wow.
Quasi.
She will be
Don't for-
mine, or she will
Quasi, don't-
burn.
Don't forget the alphabet.
The alphabet. Wow. Whoa. Do you?
Movie 2.
Gotta
I
be
actually
like
am
you.
just. I tell you what though, I go on Netflix, I watch that Jungle Book remake, I have so much goddamn
Okay.
fun.
Back to it. Back to it. Back to it. We're good. We're good.
So how about that candlestick design?
So hold on. Before we get there, the other thing that didn't make sense is the all of a sudden LeFou turns against Gaston kind of thing because he starts thinking it before, and you're just like, you've probably been through the war with him. You know his tells, and you want to kiss him, and all of a sudden, because he tries to kill Maurice, even though you helped him in it, you're kind of like, I don't know. Now he's talking about killing an actual beast, and you're like, oh, I don't know.
Oh,
and it takes
no,
a
that's
little
the turning point.
You're like, maybe the beast is him.
Yeah.
And like, well, and that's not. They couldn't have even just given him like just a little facial expression. They had an actual lyric that made him reference that he, like,
But-
has changed his views.
But here's the thing: if that was the original Gaston from the cartoon, and LeFou had that line and did turn, it would make more sense. But in this
Yeah.
one, since the turn was more slimy, and actually had to have a turn instead of being a D-bag from screen 1, didn't work. Straight up. Now, talking
Yep.
about that candlestick design. Gee, man, you got turned into a feather duster that's a little bird. I'm still a dude with probably a gold dick.
I'm C3PO.
I'm just a tiny golden man with wicks on my hands.
Wicks
and
on my
head.
hand and my head. Like, come on. He had it the best. He shouldn't have complained.
Meanwhile,
about the damn thing.
Cogsworth is like hopping around
Yeah.
on his little stubby
Oh.
legs.
Can we talk about that horror film that was after the last pedal fell, and they were like, we're gonna take like
17 minutes
Yep.
of killing
and
everybody.
show all of your favorite characters die horrible deaths.
Well, because like I remember being a kid and being like, "Oh, I wonder what would happen if they turned into like their object." Oh, they're doing that.
I'm gonna show you.
Oh no!
They're-
Oh no!
They're all gonna die, and then it takes like 20 more minutes.
Goodbye, my love.
To show everyone have like a I'm okay. And
I
you
did
look
appreciate-
awful.
I would say I did appreciate a little bit of screen time for like the people versions, which they had to when you have
Major
actors
We
like
have those
that.
actors.
Yeah, yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
watch. I did not need to watch Cogsworth croak out last words to Lumiere
Right.
as he's slowly freezing to death. Like, I didn't need to see that.
What the fuck is with all of a sudden adding the Enchantress back into the movie?
Yeah, that was
I think I don't know why they did that.
See, yeah.
That was dumb. Okay, that was dumb. The fucking curse was broken. You don't need to what kind of enchantress are you that you have to manually show up to de-do a curse? Come on now.
Yeah.
Well, apparently,
What kind of level 1 shit is that?
Well, allegedly, she'd been there the whole time. Like, are
Yeah.
you so unsecure in your curses that you literally just gotta stick around and be like, make sure this thing doesn't get broken? Like,
Don't make sure it
what?
doesn't get broken. Also, let's make sure that it's impossible to find you, so this curse never gets broken. Deuces. Like, seriously, she's like, it wasn't just a straight up curse. She murdered those people. Like, oh, guess what? Your castle can't find it now. Magically enhanced forest can't find shit. By the way, anybody who knew about you doesn't know anymore. Fuck you.
But don't worry, if you find a girl and she loves you in turn, you'll be cured. How will she find me? Oh, that's
Doesn't matter. Which not to mention the whole idea of that she has to love him back is kind of dumb, since when he lets Belle go, in my mind that curse is fucking broken. He learned to love, showed that he was caring, and let her go out of his life. Curse broken. Okay, eat shit.
Yeah.
Come on, Enchantress, get with it. Okay, what else do we want to talk about before we dive into my insanity for the past week? Anything? Miscast.
Oh yeah.
Kevin Kline was 100% misused.
Yes.
Kevin Kline was always a strange choice for Maurice.
Yeah.
I was like, Kevin Kline is like 40-something years old.
Kevin
Why?
Kline is Lumiere material.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If not
me-
him, Stanley Tucci is Lumiere
Yeah.
material.
To me, Kevin Kline is.
Why was
Kevin,
Stanley Tucci in this film? Why did they make this piano character?
oh God, I forgot about that.
Everybody knows there isn't a piano, that there's an organ, and it's voiced by Tim Curry.
Miss Forte.
They could have
Fell
used him
off the
again.
wall.
He's stuck on the wall, just like the AC unit in Brave Little Toaster.
Now he's stuck in the chair. Sorry, too far.
Whoa. Whoa. I will go ahead and say it. The two main characters of this movie sucked.
It was definitely a supporting. The stronger cast was the supporting.
Yeah.
Actor.
Well,
I'm gonna say it out there, and I can get crucified by the internet later. What's her name?
Emma Watson.
Emma Watson is the British version of Kristen Stewart. She has 3 modes: annoyed, neutral, and that is it. She is not a good actress.
I'd touch her butt, but I wouldn't cast her.
She looks very Belle-esque, kind of,
Yes.
but like
They could have picked somebody better for Belle.
Also, on a like me being overly, picky note, if you're casting a musical, cast singers so that you don't have to auto. I mean, I knew they would auto tune no matter what, but apparently she got singing lessons, but apparently there was for nothing.
She got
'cause
singing
they
lessons
still-
from the original Belle, Paige O'Hara.
right?
Like
Maybe they should just use. Well, I guess she would be too old, but like,
why didn't we cast Anna Kendrick? Just
I don't like Anna Kendrick that much.
no, I don't.
but you know what? She can sing and she can act.
But I think Belle is such a hard character. I think to cast even like it's deceptively difficult.
It's one of those things that 26 years after the animated movie, who are you going to get to top this animated version? You don't. It's the same reason why I'm really worried about the Ariel for Little Mermaid. Who are you going to top a classic
I forgot
character?
they're doing that. Lin-Manuel Miranda is going to be Sebastian, I'm pretty sure. So maybe that'll be all right.
There's just stuff like that. She didn't do anything for me. Ultimately, I would say she didn't. All she did was like made me nitpick her, which I would have to say, like, if you were just watching it, you're like, she was all right. She wasn't great. They had auto-tune her. It's fine. We'll just keep going. But it's just like at the same time, like me doing that is like nitpicking at her, and I'm just like, you suck. Yeah. And like the Beast could have done anything, and it would have been better than what we got. And
I will say
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say the one. Pretty straight, Bill. No, I was gonna say the one thing that I did appreciate about him was at least there was some choice in the vocal choice, like the vocal choice that he made, because I like watched an interview where he had thought about if the prince, who was used kind of a stuffy guy, had his the fangs and whatnot in his mouth, that how would he adjust so that the fangs were not showing, and he would kind of talk through the bottom of his mouth like that, which I thought, I was like, okay, he made an interesting character choice.
But that leads to my next problem of from the original get-go of the release of him, why does it have to be CG? Because you did nothing with the Beast. He looked like a sexy hairy dude. He looked like me.
Oh yeah, the Beast was way too sexy.
I watched the movie. I was like, Bill. But
some of it's in Greek.
One day the technology is going to be available that I can CGI you into the movie, Bill, and it's gonna be great. But that day will come.
Also,
it's like one of those chip champ ones.
Also, why was the Beast so as smart as he was? Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess there was no reason in the original why he was illiterate.
I liked the original and this is an added scene in the special edition where Belle teaches the Beast how to read. Yeah. I like that because it's like Belle sharing an important part of herself with him.
Life. Yeah.
This time he was like, "No, I've read that shit. I
read it, and you can have this library, I guess." Some of it's in Greek, and that's like the moment where Belle goes, "Ooh, I want you so bad because Gaston can't read." Ooh, that's literally the
literacy. Ooh.
And then Gaston pops in the window and is like, "I did not say I can't read.
I said
I didn't read that specific book."
Okay, God, you bitch.
You can have her.
But like the Beast was just like his design was awful. Like someone said it. He goes, one of the things that always held back any Beauty and the Beast movie before the animated one was that it was always limited by what the Beast was. They were poorly done makeups or poorly done things. So when the animated came along, they were like, "Fuck it, he's a bear, lion, warthog monster," and you're like, "He's a beast. He's clearly a beast."
That's a beast.
And they said in this one, they did the whole let's see as much of the actor's face as possible thing, which kind of works. But then why are we doing CG? Why don't you have him in prosthetics? Why don't you have him on prosthetics?
Man, practical effect, especially for his reveal scene. My God, would that have been cool for those practical effects?
What's cool is apparently he walked on like stilts.
Yeah.
And he had like some kind of appendage thing on his back, so it was like he had some kind of physical presence in it.
But like, the thing is, like, you look at something like Pan's Labyrinth, where you see Doug Jones in the fawn outfit, and has the inverted legs, and they show you how they do it by just simply having his legs go straight up, and then the legs go like this, and then they CG out the part of his leg. Done. No problem. You have inverted legs and an actual prop. You give him the big hulking thing, so he's a bit more hunchback. You don't need to show us everything. Less is more. Less is more. Give him a big hunchback and a bunch of fur sticking out, and then proper face things. And God
you
damn
have a
it,
huge budget. You can afford it.
Why didn't you hire Jim Henson Picture Shop?
Can you imagine if this movie had the balls to do that, to like not super CGI the beast? Like, can you imagine that? Like,
imagine
today,
if any movie had the balls.
2017.
Yeah.
It's called The Storyteller by Jim Henson, where John Hurt narrates everything, and it's amazing. I'm just saying. I've seen something where they pulled something off like this, and it
was made in like the 90s, much like this film.
Yeah. So I guess that's my beef. Miscasting otherwise. No, we said it. Fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi doing the worst French accent ever.
At least he admitted it. But he's married to a French woman.
So what is that, like his get out of jail free card? I have black friends.
He's like, I know, I did a bad one, but I'm married to her, so
that French accent is as bad as Dick Van Dyke, okay? And Mary Poppins. All right? It was so bad. I wanted to punch him.
And also, it's kind of funny.
Maybe she was the one to break the span.
He had that going on while everyone else was British, so it didn't matter.
Well, no, because Madame Le Grand Bouche, or however you pronounce her name,
in the movie she was Madame Garderobe.
Is that the wardrobe that was also the singer?
Yeah, it's Audra McDonald. But she had a French accent too, and the piano didn't. He had a British, and Cogsworth had British. And Mrs. Potts had Cockney,
which was
and Chip had Cockney.
I didn't hate Mrs. Potts being Cockney.
Oh no!
Except that when she sang, I thought she was Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah.
But
yes. Yes.
And then things like, fuck it. The Beast didn't have an accent. I don't know.
He was British. He was like high class British, with the Beast voice.
Yes.
It was all over the place. Can we dive into insanity and finish this up?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, here we go. So,
problem number one. Gaston, ever since I came back from the war, nothing's been the same. Does anybody know French History War? Because French History War is awesome. French went to war all the goddamn time. They were crazy bloodlust over this. I'm like, well, I wonder which one he's talking about here. I'm thinking by the design, you're probably looking at late 18th century, maybe early 19th century. Maybe, this is my brain working while watching the movie, maybe he's talking about the Revolutionary War. The French Revolutionary War? So then he kind of, maybe they'll add this little plotline about, oh my god, the Beast is the prince, the old prince that I never got to kill because of the revolution. Fuck that guy, I'm gonna murder him. No, none of that. Okay. So, what else do I know about where the time frame is? Because this is me trying to figure out the time frame. What other wars could there have been around that time? Because I looked up online, like, oh, it kind of takes place in like 1780. I'm like, 1780? American Revolution? But why would he go there and then come back? That doesn't make any sense. He's not that kind of guy. He's not that sentimental. The 7-Year War with Napoleon? Maybe, I guess. Okay, we'll go with that. That's the closest we got. Then we get to the scene with the magical book. That's total bullshit. They go to France, and I'm like, France? Okay, there's no bloody Eiffel Tower, so we're already miles ahead of the animated. She died of the plague. There's a plague, Dr. Math. You look up, the last time France had a plague was in 1620. So, Belle is 127 years old.
which means
Okay.
Maurice is like ancient.
Okay, so then all these people are giving her dirty looks in the thing, and I'm just going, something's not right here. What is not hitting here right? Oh, right, there's black people. Now, that sounds very racist, but in 1806, French was at the peak of slavery. History buff. Peak.
Yep.
The most amount of slaves that were from a black background. There is no way in fuck that a black civilian in that village would dare be giving Belle the stink eye because she can read.
Or would be a celebrated opera performer performing for the prince.
I could understand that, but she wouldn't be set up dressed like that. She'd be dressed a
No.
little bit less. That's the thing. These are the things that are popping in my brain, going, this isn't right. I understand what they're going for, but this is so wrong on a historical level. And you know what? If they do Mulan and one of the guys happens to be black or, heaven forbid, white, everyone's going to flip their shit. But history don't lie. And you're saying, Bill, it's a musical about a beast. You put it in the history part. You try to be historical accurate with the outfits, and then you go that far and not do it well enough.
It's true. They mentioned the war and the plague, so they did that to themselves.
They did that to themselves, which then made me start thinking, well, gee, they don't really say how long the spell has been under there. Maybe the spell was put under in 1650 when they showed up at this village, and she put a curse on the village so nobody grows old, which makes sense why Belle would all of a sudden be talking about how nothing ever changes in there because everyone's stuck in the same loop, going over and over and over and over and over again until Gaston comes back. Oh, and he breaks the curse, and therefore she realizes everything's wrong. That would be an interesting thing. Nope, doesn't happen. What? Then, okay, that's fine. They establish that everyone in the castle is then, this is how my brain works, that the Enchantress curses everybody in the castle who lived there. So why did Mr. Potts not get cursed?
I hated
was
that.
Mr. Potts and Mrs. Potts not talking to each other, and he was living in the village? On top of that, why was Chip there looking at the party, and why was he cursed? Because if Mr. Potts wasn't living there, why was he cursed? And if Miss Potts was living with her husband in the village, why was she cursed? Because it said specifically everyone who lived in the castle. What the fuck is going on? What year is it? I don't know.
See, and like from that intro or like the prologue, I almost thought it literally was like whoever was in the building at the time, because they had all those people run out of the building, and Mrs. Potts and Chip, didn't make it out, and
But
I
they
was like,
said
is it
lived there. So Mr.
Yeah.
Potts comes in as this all of a sudden aha moment at the end, and you're going, who the fuck is that? And what did she just say? I don't know. There's a fight scene going on, and all of a sudden they're married. Why did he get out? And if so, if he didn't get out and the village wasn't cursed to stay in time, she damned his son for him to grow old and die with him under this curse for God knows how long. So clearly there was a curse on the village so that he wouldn't die when his son died. Wait, what? Why does things smell like almond? I don't know. I think I'm bleeding.
Also, I don't know about any other person who watched this movie, but I've never once cared about what happened to Belle's mom.
Nope.
I don't care.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't
And then
matter.
for such a build up,
it's the Disney rule? She's dead.
I know she's dead. Like, I get she's not there, but like for such a build up, like they mentioned, and Maurice is like, I knew a girl once who was this just like you, and Belle was like, you always stop there when you tell the story. What happened? And he's like, I just can't tell you. And then they find out just like, oh, she died from the plague, and then we used to live in Paris. Like, I don't care. I don't fucking care.
Also, I drew your mom and you as a baby just all the time.
All the time.
every different art form.
Every
And
time.
All the
now
time.
that's all I do.
Also,
I
there
just
were
make-
roses everywhere.
I make music boxes, and somehow I sell them, and I make enough money to support a family. So,
Yeah, no inventions, just music boxes. No big wood cutting machines that make them all kooky and zany. Just little music boxes.
Music boxes. I'm a depressed fool. Waste of a perfectly great actor. And with that, I think we're gonna call it.
Yeah.
Kyle.
But all things. Yeah, you go. Okay, you go first.
No. Go ahead. I was gonna do scores, so you go ahead. What were you gonna say? Get your finals in.
No, we'll do this in the score.
Okay, in the score.
I'll,
Okay,
I'll,
all
I'll,
right,
my,
Kyle.
my space.
Kyle, give me a percentage from 1 to 100% on how you would rate Beauty and the Beast 2017.
You know, I probably would have gone in higher before, but now that I've had a chance to talk through with you guys, probably
You,
I'm probably gonna be generous and say like 85.
you're gonna try to figure out what timeline it's from, right? Doesn't make any fucking
Yeah.
sense.
Oh yeah, no, I am.
Okay, Chris, give me a letter grade.
A letter grade?
You get a letter grade.
I give it a solid like B minus or a high C plus. I think it's and that my spiel about it real quick is that I did really enjoy it. I think it was a fun movie. I enjoyed the nostalgia factor. When I let myself not think about any glaring flaws, I just had a good time, which is what ultimately I wanted to do. But it's not one that I'll like worship or like hold up as like the grand Disney remake. I don't know that we have.
I don't
a
think I'm
grand
gonna do that with
Disney-
any of the remakes.
No, I don't even think we'll have a grand Disney remake unless they have Eddie Murphy come back as Mushu. Like,
But now,
even
did you?
and even then, I'll be more intrigued than anything.
We'll save that conversation for the podcast because there's been shit flying out about that all over the place. My out of 10 score is cutting crazy old Maurice out of 10. You don't realize it at first, but when you do, it is unforgivable. And ultimately, if this was on the shelf for like $10 and sitting next to it was the animated one for like $25, I would fork over that extra cash in a heartbeat. I understand if people own both of them, but if you own this one over the other one, I have every right to smack you. Okay? Every right.
The original's a masterpiece.
The original, again, I said it before, I'll say it again. The original was nominated for Best Picture in 1992. You know what other animated film has the right to say that? No one! It lost to Silence of the Lambs, and you know what? Objectively looking at it, Beauty and the Beast is better.
Well, and also, Beauty and the Beast was up against Silence of the Lambs for an Oscar.
Right.
That was a real. That's like Zootopia going up against 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah.
Like,
Strangely, same kind of story arcs there.
Whoop.
Thank you so much for joining us on our rage-filled romp of this spoiler-heavy review of Beauty and the Beast 2017.
also, fuck you with just spoilers. This movie has been out for 26 years.
Yeah, eat shit.
There are no spoilers.
There are no spoilers.
Join us for Power Rangers.
Oh god, I gotta go see that, don't I? Fuck.
Me too.
Join us for an upcoming Doctor Who special. What the hell is Alien Covenant? Our April podcast. What else we got? Power Rangers. Fuck. Ghost in the Shell. Fuck. And some more fun stuff on the horizon. Thank you so much. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Now, Kyle Birch is taking us out.
I was the one who had it all. I was the master of my fate. I never needed anybody in my life. I learned the truth too late.